spring of 1997, we started our first meetings with IVC.
Bob drove to the meetings, hospice meetings, and coming home one day, Judith and I talked about wanting to have something closer, as Bob says, something on Bainbridge, something for people who needed help but weren't seriously ill. So that was really the seed of it, with Linda and Judith having to fill a need that they couldn't fill with hospice and having no place else to go. So we all sort of rode together and talked it over, and that's how it started.
It's wonderful. Viola, she worked over 2 years as a director of IVC without taking any salary to help us get going, and that was certainly commendable.
Thank you.
There was something going on in our society which had changed things. It was a much more transient kind of thing where families were being split apart, and there were a lot of people who were aging in place on Bainbridge whose children or families were not any geographically near. So what we could do is provide a substitute for that, a surrogate family, and I think that was our dream.
So it was very humble beginnings. It wasn't.
Gradually, the parameters became apparent that we had to have some structure. We had to have some more specific focus on, what needs could we meet and what were not appropriate, needed a professional.
It sounds like we sort of organized and planned it really well, from the beginning, and sort of had an idea and got the grant and got you and da-da-da-da. But we really just wanted to do this, and we had no idea how quickly it would work. It was amazing how it took off. And of course now it's unbelievable. It's just exploded, with caregivers.
We gave help to people who were homebound for one reason or another, health or age or whatever, but you didn't have to be old to get help.
Driving was a big thing. It was easy, and it was also a way, when you're driving somebody, you're getting acquainted with them.
Home? Oh, I'm glad you're okay. Got your teeth in. Both Bob and I gave up driving and gave up our cars. My son said to me, "No more driving." And I said, "All right." So we reluctantly gave up the car.
We're totally dependent on getting rides. The hardest thing about giving up the car is what it does to your mobility and your dependency on other people, and it's just the hardest thing that I've done.
When people have more support and friendship and warmth comes, they just open up and they're open to doing things that perhaps it's been a while since they've tried them.
To be a friendly person that goes in and is more of a friend is really, it feels good to do it.
Yeah.
I had taken a woman to an appointment. It was early in the week on a Monday, and I was the only person that she was going to see for the entire week. Oh. And I think at that moment, that's when I decided this is the main reason that I need to do this.
Yeah.
Because there's people who don't see or talk to anyone, and it just, it kind of hurt.
First of all, I love music, and this one gentleman can sing, and I put on our Pandora music when we go for our drives, and playing is Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby, and he knows all the words, and we're singing away, and I just feel so blessed.
I have a care receiver that I drive around regularly who insists that I stop, and she cuts flowers from her garden for me every time, and so I get back to the house, and my wife keeps seeing flowers on the countertop, and she said one day, "Do I need to be worried about this person?"
Some people, I have some friends that says, I just have trouble asking for the help. And I think that's where the relationships really come in. They don't feel like they're drawing somebody to drive them somewhere. They feel like they're going on an outing with a friend.
I think if IVC wasn't there, I think socialization would be a major issue, because I'm finding that so many of these older people need the socialization. And now IVC is providing so many opportunities to get out to a movie, to go places, other than that. And, we've said that socialization is the major need of older people. So if we didn't have IVC, we would have a lot of people that were much more isolated.
We weren't there to fix. We were there to listen. And I think that's one of the gifts that the volunteers always were able to offer.
My mother had recently died at the time I started getting involved with IVC. My first customer was a woman who had taken care of my mom. And then this woman, who then was riding in my car, had spent the night with my mom once a week. It was lovely. So for me, it was giving back.
Even, it just takes a couple of times before taking someone for a couple of appointments, and you have a relationship with them.
Yes.
They remember you, and you know what you can and cannot do.
Yes.
Whether they like the car door open or they
Yes,
don't.
right.
Whether you need to help them with a seatbelt
Right.
or not.
My first interaction with somebody, a gal who in her 90s who was just so independent and just had the greatest stories to tell, and I would just have these short interactions with her, dropping her off and picking her up again. But I love to ask people questions and hear stories about their lives, and so I was learning quite a bit about her in a short period of time. And she had mentioned to me that where she lived in the senior housing, they were going to be having a poetry reading, and she had given away a lot of her books when she had to move into a smaller apartment. And so she was lamenting that there was a poem that she really loved and she didn't have the copy of it anymore. And I was asking her about it, and she was trying to remember, she could remember the theme and some of the lines. And so I went online and found the poem that she was talking about, and I printed it up for her. And I wasn't going to be able to see her the next day because we were leaving town. So I printed up the poem and I put it in an envelope and put her name on it and left it where I knew she would be coming that morning to be picked up. Mm-hmm. And Robin told me later, Robin asked me if I'd done that. And at first I was like, oh, was that okay? And she said, oh, Carrie, it was great. She just loved it so much. And the hard part about that was that I never got to see her again because she passed away. But I was just so happy that I followed through with something, that my last thing with her was just knowing that she was heard and that I did something special for her. And so I was just really grateful that I did that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I like to think that we take care of our own here. Mm-hmm. And the elderly folks are underserved in many communities, but there's a lot going on for them here, and this is an organization that makes sure that they get there. So.
If you want to meet people, volunteer. Of course, just like the old cliche, you get so much more than you put in.
Exactly.
I guess things are cliches because they're true.
I'm astounded at how much it was needed and how quickly it's grown. Mm-hmm. Just talking about the old days, and we started so small. We never doubted that we needed it, though, did we? Or that it would be fun. But I think we didn't realize how actually successful it would be.
Yeah. That little push of getting just enough money to hire somebody, and then whoosh, it's gone.
There's a real close spirit on Bainbridge Island, and tributes to a lot of the people that want to get involved and go out and help people. And a lot of people that were involved in IVC in the very beginning are getting older and are receiving help today, and that's a beautiful thing to see.
And volunteers think, oh, well, I'm not there very much. I just do a little bit. But the little bit means so much.
You bring the brightness that lights up my day. You bring the sunshine in. I need a little help sometimes to ease me on my way. And sometimes I just need a friend. Life is like a teeter-totter, life goes up and down. Once in a while you find yourself landing on the ground. Life is not a carousel that just goes around and round. We all need a hand sometimes to deal with the up and down.
Very special people are involved with IVC.
help sometimes ease me on my way. And sometimes I just need a friend.